Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Steven Melendez, and I'm going to be bringing you the latest and greatest in soccer news from around the world. Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite soccer podcast. I'm coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. Yes, I have moved 4 hours up north because I am going on vacation to the most magical place on earth, Disney World. And I am just so excited to enjoy all the magical things going on over there. But before that, let's talk some soccer, guys. There is a lot of things going on around the world with, of course, the Super Cup just happening. We got some big-time matchups coming up this weekend, Carabao Cup. But, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just talk about what we're going to be, discussing in today's episode. So, just to start off, I'm going to be previewing some of the top matchups from around the world coming up on Sunday and Monday. I'm going to be talking about Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, Premier League, and of course the most exciting games on those days. I'm going to give it to you. And of course, in the second part of the show, we're going to be talking about the 2020 Super Cup between Bayern Munich and Sevilla. It was a really exciting game that came down to the wire, and I'm just very excited to talk about that one. And of course, in the third part of the show, I'm going to be talking about the Carabao Cup Round 3, just recapping all the games that occurred and, just how it went down, which teams are moving on to Round 4. And then in the last part of the show, my most exciting, I love doing top 10s. It's just my favorite part of this show. I'm going to be giving you guys my top 10 managers in the world. So let's get right into it, talking about the top matchups coming up from around the world on Sunday and Monday. I believe most of these are pretty much Sunday matchups, but I'm just excited to just preview these games, see who's going to come out on top. I'm going to be giving you guys key players, predictions. So let's get right into it, starting with the Bundesliga. We have Bayern Munich going up against Hoffenheim. And last season, Hoffenheim did come out on top early with a 2-1 victory in match week 7. I should mention that this was when Niko Kovac was still manager, and Bayern Munich were just an absolute mess. So can't take too much of that. Can't take too much out of that one. Bayern Munich did get their revenge in the DFB Pokal with a 4-3 victory, so it was still pretty exciting. But then in match week 24, Bayern Munich just absolutely slaughtered Hoffenheim with a 6-0 victory, the worst home defeat since their promotion to the Bundesliga in 2008 for Hoffenheim. Just not looking good. So who are the key players for Bayern Munich in this game? Of course, it all begins and starts with Lewandowski. Robert Lewandowski, the number one striker in the entire world, obviously the best striker in the Bundesliga. He had 34 goals last season, and he's already off to a torrid start with a goal and 2 assists to start the season. I also believe Leroy Sané is going to be a big-time player for Bayern Munich. He's already shown that he's going to be, an extremely important piece for them. He's already got a goal and 2 assists. Just his ability with the ball, his underrated passing, just all of it, it's ridiculous. So the fact that they were able to get a guy like that is just not fair. And then, of course, last we have the captain, goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer, who was just an absolute beast last season and led this team to the Champions League title. He does his best work when the pressure's on, and once again, Manuel Neuer is just one of the most important players for this Bayern Munich squad. Of course, you got Kingsley Coman, who will be out for this game due to him still being quarantined for COVID, so they are going to be missing him in this match. On the Hoffenheim side, you have another top striker in this game with Andrej Kramaric, probably one of the hottest guys in the entire world. The form that this man is in is just ridiculous. He ended last season with a 4-goal performance against Borussia Dortmund, and he has now put up 3 goals to start the season. You also have Christoph Baumgartner and Robert Skov. Robert Skov is injured, or at least he has a knock. They haven't really said what exactly it is. So if he does not play in this one, they're definitely going to be missing out on some, offensive versatility. But it's going to be very important for them to get, their top scorers in Baumgartner and Kramaric going to stay even remotely close to Bayern Munich. In the end, I feel like Bayern is going to come out on top in this game, 4-1. If Skov does end up playing, it could be 4-2. But for the most part, Bayern Munich are just going to continue that unbeaten streak. Next, we have my favorite team to watch in the Bundesliga, SC Freiburg, going up against Wolfsburg. Last season, SC Freiburg actually won their game against Wolfsburg in match week 14, and then they had a 2-2 draw in match week 31. For SC Freiburg, they just continue to show that, they're the little club that could, and just continue to show that heart and passion is all you really need to really compete. And these are the players that are really proving that. 22-year-old midfielder Roland Salai, he didn't really have a big-time part in the club last season with just 2 goals, but he's already proving to be a big-time player for them this season with a goal and an assist. All-time goal scorer Niels Petersen had 11 goals last season, and is just going to be continuing his production for them with a goal already to start the Bundesliga. And then, of course, fullback Christian Günther led the team last year with 8 assists, and he will be one of their top playmakers and will be extremely important to what they do on the offensive end. I do still believe that they need a little bit more in that side in order to really start competing with the top clubs in the Bundesliga. However, Wolfsburg, I know they're a big-time club, but I feel like they just have a little bit of an edge on this team. There are some really exciting key players on this team with Walt Weghorst, one of the best strikers in the Bundesliga. He already has 16. He had 16 goals last year. They didn't start off very hot. He only has 1 shot on target to start the season. And then also midfielders Maximilian Arnold and Josip Brecalo are going to be big-time playmakers for this side and will be extremely important in getting Weghorst the goals and, just the shots that he needs in order to make an impact on the game. I also want to mention Captain Jusaha Gula Vogui. I probably said his name wrong, but he was suspended for the opener and will be extremely important to their success coming up. In the end, I still believe, even though SC Freiburg have way less in terms of, a budget in their team, I still feel like they're going to, have a big-time performance against Wolfsburg, but it's going to end up in a 2-2 draw, which is still a solid performance for each team. I would love to see Freiburg win. I just don't see it happening in this game. Next, let's move on to La Liga, where we have Atletico Madrid taking on Granada. Granada, just like SC Freiburg, not a big-time club, but they have shown that they can compete in the top flight. And last year, they boded well in match week 14 when 1-1 draw against Atletico Madrid, but then Madrid got that win in match week 23 with a 1-0 victory. Just a classic Atletico Madrid victory, getting that clean sheet and getting just enough to get the 3 points. The key players for Atletico Madrid definitely have to go to Jan Oblak, who is the best goalkeeper in the world right now. And then, of course, the forwards, João Felix and Luis Suarez. That recent signing of Suarez is huge for Atletico Madrid, who, honestly, if I have to think of a forward that epitomizes, what Atletico Madrid want, it would be Luis Suarez. Just that rough and tumble type of guy that, will work hard for your team. And now that he's in a Barcelona rival team, expect him to bring out the best. And that's, of course, if he's healthy. That's extremely important. If Luis Suarez is healthy, then they're getting a big-time player. But, that's yet to be, seen. And then for João Felix, he had 6 goals last season. Solid for a debut year in La Liga, but we need to see more from him. Diego Simeone need to use him better, and I feel like he has a lot more to give. They will be without Jose Jimenez due to COVID. Big time center back that will, it will be missed in the defense, but the team is well coached and well, positioned that it won't be a big time miss. He's a big time player, but the system of Atletico Madrid can deal with that loss. Now, on the Granada side, their key players are going to be goalkeeper Rui Silva, who had a big time season last year, 12 clean sheets, a 72.1 save percentage. And this year he's already off to a hot start. He already has a clean sheet, 80%, or 80.1 save percentage. And then, of course, the young midfielder, Yangel Herrera. I don't know how he was able to, stay on the club on loan from Man City, but and the club has been rewarded for them trying to get him back, as he already has 3 goals in all competition. Last year he only had 2 goals and 3 assists, so he's already showing that his improvement is, visible big time. And then lastly, I got Darwin Machis, the forward. He had 7 goals and 5 assists last season, already has a goal and an assist for Granada, and will be big time in trying to break down this Atletico Madrid defense. I still believe Atletico Madrid is going to come out on top in this game, but it will be a good game with a 2-1 victory for Atletico Madrid. Next, we have Barcelona versus Villarreal. Last season, Barcelona, as always, dominated this matchup with a 2-1 victory in match week 6 and then a 4-1 victory in match week 34. For Barcelona, it's going to be kind of a different looking season. Lionel Messi is still there, but Luis Suarez isn't there. A lot of the older, longer term players aren't going to be getting a lot of run because Ronald Koeman, the new manager for Barcelona, wants to initiate a different style of play for the club. And the person I feel is going to be big time and most important for this team is going to be Antoine Griezmann. Especially with Luis Suarez not there. His 9 goals in La Liga last year is just not going to be enough. He needs to be back in that 20-goal range, and I believe he can do it. He obviously has the talent, but just can he show up on the bright lights in Barcelona? That is yet to be seen, because he clearly was not up to his standards in his first season in Barcelona. Of course, Lionel Messi is going to be a big-time player for them. Had 20-plus goals and assists in La Liga, and it's just going to be continuing to do that. And he's obviously still the best player in the entire league. So, it just all depends on how Koeman uses him. And then, of course, defensive midfielder Frankie de Jong. He's going to be big-time for them. He had a solid debut season for Barcelona, but we'll need to see more growth. He's a young player, so he's obviously still got room to improve, and that's going to need to be seen. They are dealing with a big-time injury in Marc-Andre ter Stegen and his knee. It looked like he was going to be out until just the late October, but now it looks like that's extended. So they're going to be missing him big time. They do have Neto, the Brazilian goalkeeper, between the sticks. So it's obviously still a big drop-off in talent, but he's still a serviceable goalkeeper. On Villarreal side, they do have some pretty solid players up top with, of course, the star man Gerard Moreno. He had 18 goals, 5 assists last season. And then you have Daniel Perejo in the midfield. And I also like Samuel Chukwueze. Probably said his name way wrong, but he's already got an assist, 5 key passes, 2 tackles this season, and will be very key to what Villarreal do this season. I do still believe Barcelona is going to come out on top with a 3-2 victory over Villarreal, as they seem to always have their number. But it's still going to be a close matchup. Next, we move on to Serie A with Roma versus Juventus. Last season, Juventus won in match week 19, 2-1 over Roma. And then they also won 3-1 in the Coppa Italia quarterfinal. However, Roma were able to get their revenge with a 3-1 victory in match week 38. Last game of the season, Juve pretty much already had the title at that point, and so you take that as well as you want it. But for Juve, their star players this season, of course, always starts with Cristiano Ronaldo. His 31 goals last season, was the best he's done so far in Serie A. And he's just going to continue to lead this club and be a very big-time player as he has throughout his entire career. And then you also have the brand new, guy who came back on loan, Dejan Kulusevski, who has come from Parma. Last episode I said he came from Udinese. I was wrong. He's from Parma, and he had 10 goals and 8 assists for them last season. Was huge for that team, and he's already shown that the bright lights are not too much for him. He already has a goal and 3 key passes in his debut for the club. And of course, the MVP from last season, Paulo Dybala, he was out for the opener due to an injury, that was still lingering, but it looks like he's going to be back for this matchup and will be key to their success. Of course, they are dealing with some big-time injuries in defense with Matthias de Ligt dealing with a shoulder injury since last season, and then Alexandro with a hamstring injury. And they're already missing some, they're already very weak at the fullback position, so losing out on Sandro is definitely going to hurt them. But they still got the quality on the side. For Roma, they have some very, solid quality up top, like, with Henrik Mkhitaryan, Lorenzo Pellegrini, and Edin Dzeko. Of course, with Dzeko, in Dzeko's case, if he's still even with the club, I think he'll be there for this game. But I don't know about the whole season because there are a lot of rumors that they're trying to get Milik from Napoli, and Dzeko could be on the way out. He's been huge for them. He had 16 goals and 7 assists last season. Pellegrini led the team in assists, so he's obviously going to be a big-time playmaker for them. They are, however, going to be missing out on Nicolo Zaniolo. He was just huge. Not really like putting up big-time numbers. He only had 6 goals in about 25 appearances, but he showed flashes of star potential. And for them to lose him to an ACL tear for pretty much the season hurts a lot. So with that being said, I do believe Juventus is going to come out on top with a 4-1 victory over Roma, just absolutely destroying them because the defense is looking very shaky. So expect that from Juve. Next, we have Napoli versus Genoa. Last season, Napoli had a scoreless draw in match week 12, but then they did defeat Genoa in match week 31 2-1. For Napoli, some of their key players, you got Lorenzo Insigne, who had 8 goals, 6 assists last season. He already has a goal this year. And then, of course, Kalidou Koulibaly, one of the best center backs in the entire world, and just, is a great presence back there in the back line. And he's going to be just huge for, what they try to do to stop anybody in Serie A. But then, of course, against Genoa. And then, of course, the recent signing of Victor Osimhen. He was used off the bench in the last game and in just 30 minutes showed that he is going to be a big-time factor for Napoli this season and could possibly take them to new heights. Because when I watch him play, I love watching him play. He makes the right decisions. He's extremely quick, extremely long. So he's a problem to deal with in the box. And if they use him, I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't start him. So expect that from them. And then in Genoa's side, I mean, they have some decent quality. You got Mattia Destro, who didn't really play much for them last season, just 8 matches played, but he's already shown he's going to be a big-time player for them this year. Already has a goal, 1 successful dribble. He's just going to be very important to their attack. You also have Marco Piacca, who is on loan from Juve. He already has a goal in his debut for the club and will be a big-time player for them. And then you also have Paolo Giglione, who had 5 assists last year and already has 2 this year, will continue to be one of their best playmakers. But in the end, I still see Napoli coming out on top in this game with a 4-2 victory over Genoa. Next, we got the Premier League with Manchester City going up against Leicester City. Last year, Manchester City dominated both games, winning 3-1 in match week 18 and 1-0 in match week 27. For Manchester City, I mean, obviously their key players, you got to look at Kevin De Bruyne, first of all. Probably one of the best players in the entire world right now and easily the best playmaker. Actually, I would say probably easily the best player in the entire Premier League right now. And then Raheem Sterling, who just continues to get goals every single season, just had 20 last year. And he does have he only had 1 assist last year, but he already has one to start this season. Probably trying to add a little bit to his game. So, and then of course last you have defender Aymeric Laporte. He had a lot of injuries to deal with last season, so his presence wasn't felt that much. But when he was out, I mean, they were a mess. So for him to be back playing for the team is going to be big for them. And their defense. And of course, you add Nathan Ack that they just recently signed. It's going to be big for them. And then, of course, for Leicester City, you have Jamie Vardy and Wilfred Ndidi. And then, of course, Kasper Schmeichel. Vardy, having won the Golden Boot last season with 23 goals, already has 2 to start the season. And Ndidi, one of the best defensive midfielders in the world right now. And he's still so young, so he's just going to get better and better. Don't be surprised if you see an even better season from him this year. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what he has to bring. And then, of course, Kasper Schmeichel, the goalkeeper, has been such a staple for this team. But with such a young team continuously, evolving and trying to get better, he provides a calming presence and veteran leadership on the team. So, Schmeichel's going to be huge for their success. And then, of course, they are dealing with a big-time injury with Ricardo Pereira, one of the best fullbacks in the world, with a ligament rupture from last season. Not sure when he's coming back, but it won't be for this game, that is for sure. So I do see Manchester City coming out on top with a 3-1 victory. That'll definitely be one to watch. And last but certainly not least, we have Liverpool versus Arsenal. Last year, they gave us some pretty exciting matchups as Liverpool defeated Arsenal in match week 3, 3-1. And then they had a historic game in the EFL Cup 4th round with a 5-5 draw that went into penalties, and Liverpool came out on top 5-4. And then, of course, at the end, Arsenal got their revenge in match week 36 with a 2-1 victory. For Liverpool, their key players are very simple. Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane. Those guys were huge for their attack last season, combining for 37 goals and 17 assists. Just ridiculous numbers for them. And they've already shown that they're going to just continue to do that this season. And then, of course, Alisson, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, already has 1 clean sheet in 2 starts, and will be, just continue to do what he loves to do, which is stop goals. And he'll be big. He'll be very important in stopping Aubameyang, obviously the big-time players that Arsenal has in the attack, which we're going to talk about right now. For Arsenal, their key player, easily Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 22 goals last season. He already has a goal and an assist this year. He's got that new contract. He's excited to be an Arsenal player. He's going to be, extremely important in their success. And then, of course, you got Willian, probably going to be the best playmaker for them this season, something that they were really missing last year. And he's already has 2 assists to show for it. And then, of course, the goalkeeper, Bernd Leno. Had a solid season last year, 77.6 save percentage, 7 clean sheets. Already has a clean sheet this season with an 80% save percentage. He's going to be big for them trying to stop that explosive attack of Liverpool. I don't expect that to be able to happen too often, and I see Liverpool coming out on top 2-1 in this game. So that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Make sure you guys stick around, because when I come back, we're going to be talking about the 2020 Super Cup between Bayern Munich and Sevilla.
Are you looking to get your college football fix? Looking to get the latest news on your favorite school's team? The GSMC College Football Podcast is your ticket to all things college football. Join us as we talk college football from the national championship, the college rivalries, the bowl game, to the Heisman Trophy. To which conference is the best? We've got you covered for the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, the Pac-12, ACC, and everything in between. Download the GSMC College Football Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
welcome back, everyone. If you missed it in the last segment, I previewed some of the big-time matchups coming up this weekend, and now I'm going to be talking about the 2020 Super Cup between Bayern Munich and Sevilla. If you guys were living under a rock last year, Sevilla won the Europa League over Inter Milan, and Bayern Munich defeated PSG in the Champions League. So these two teams would go on face-off in the, of course, annual Super Cup. I usually don't pay too much attention to the Super Cup because it's one of the best teams in the world. Obviously, whoever wins the Champions League against one of the best B teams in the world. But that just wasn't the case in this matchup. I really, really love Sevilla and just how hard they work. They aren't like most of those, under quality sides, even though they have a lot of quality. They have Lucas Ocampos. They have, who else was on that team? Koundé, that center back, that French center back, looking really nice for them. Ivan Rakitic is now on the side. Like, they have some pretty solid players, but of course, Bayern Munich are just ridiculous. I mean, you can go up and down that roster. There's not a single weakness that they have. They have Neuer in goal. You got Lewandowski up top, Müller. They added Leroy Sané, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. They did lose Thiago, who was just a mainstay for them in that midfield. But I mean, they still got guys like Leon Goretzka, who's come into his own there at Bayern. Who else? What am I talking about? Pavard, Kimmich, Alaba. I mean, how have I not said Alphonso Davies? I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Bayern Munich are just the best team in the world, and they would come out on top 2-1 against Sevilla in this matchup. But and it was literally that tight. I mean, this game, even though Bayern Munich had most possession, which you'd expect, because their press is just, really, really hard to go against. They had 65% possession. They had 25 shots to Sevilla 6. However, they only had 7 of those on target. Sevilla had 5 on target. So, even though Sevilla were clearly outmatched in this game, they fought and they really made Bayern Munich feel them whenever they had the ball in the box or in the final third of Sevilla. So let's just, I'm just going to go through a few things that I saw in this game, talk about the first half, and of course so on and so forth. And to start this game, I mean, Bayern did not look as dominant as they have looked under Hansi Flick. They weren't, getting easy looks inside. I mean, they were getting some shots and opportunities to score, but they just weren't getting that final ball into the back of the net. I mean, I don't know what it was, whether they came, they weren't showing up for this match or weren't really thinking that there was going to be a big time fight, which isn't usually the case for Bayern Munich. I mean, even when they're taking on lower division sides, not lower division, but lower quality sides in the Bundesliga, which you got some Stuttgarts in there, you got some Mainz, you don't got any big time teams. They still show up, unlike PSG, which I always am going to call out on that stuff. But in the end, this game, Sevilla were just playing extremely tough, and they were showing that resiliency that won them the Europa League title. And Sevilla's new signing, Ivan Rakitic, he was in the starting lineup. He didn't really make his presence felt too much. I mean, he got subbed out in the 55th minute and didn't really do as much as I was expecting. He did, however, draw that foul inside the box in the 10th or 11th minute. That did give Sevilla a chance at goal with a penalty. It was kind of questionable. I mean, Alaba did lean into him, but I mean, in any situation, the defender's going to do that. The defender's going to try to put his body on an attacker to make him feel him, especially when he's inside the box. He didn't push him. He didn't run him over or anything like that. So I do think that was a very questionable penalty. But in the end, they gave it to Sevilla. And in the 13th minute, Lucas Ocampos would come through with a very cheeky finish. I mean, he faked out Neuer looking right when he goes and kicks left. He kind of wasn't even looking at goal when he shot. It was kind of real. Can't say the word, but a lot of confidence in himself to really take that kind of shot against one of the best goalkeepers in the world and one of the best goalkeepers to ever do it. So yeah, they get off to a 1-0 lead to start this game, and even though Bayern Munich had most possession and were getting shots at goal, Sevilla were hanging in there. They and obviously came out with the lead to start the game, and you were expecting this was going to be a game now. Like if Bayern Munich got off to a strong start, even though Sevilla have shown time and time again to be able to come back, you would expect Bayern Munich to just run away with it. But in the end, Sevilla came out on top first. But you could tell right away that something switched in the heads of all the Bayern players. That intensity just raised to a different level, and they just started to live in that Sevilla half. They had plenty of opportunities at goal. I mean, but the thing is, once again, like I said, they had 25 shots, but only 7 on target. And that's because Müller missed an easy one, literally right in the front of goal. Pavard completely missed a shot that sailed, right past the goal. The goalkeeper didn't have to do anything about it. And even Lewandowski didn't finish a 1-on-1 against the goalkeeper. Like he had a goal, he had a defender on him, but I mean, it's Lewandowski. When he has one of those opportunities, you expect him to finish, and he just didn't do that. However, Sevilla were not going to keep Bayern into a clean sheet in this game. There was absolutely no way. And they performed a beautiful team goal. One of those things that you just expect from Bayern at this point in the 34th minute. Müller with just a ridiculous lob pass over to Lewandowski, who was inside the box and pretty open. I mean, he had some defenders on him, but he could have easily gone and take a shot at that. I mean, most strikers would. But the thing is, this is what makes him one of the best. This is what makes Lewandowski the best striker in the entire world. He doesn't play selfishly, but he sees Goretzka just wide open inside the box and just gives him an easy pass right to him with no one around him, and Goretzka just scores the equalizer. Beautiful team goal. Just classic Bayern. I can't really, like, if you want to know how Bayern played, you look at that goal right there. That's them in a nutshell. It's just beautiful football. And but after that, both teams were pretty much even at that point. I mean, neither got really a shot on goal, and it headed into halftime tied at 1. So you knew you were either getting a blowout from Bayern in the second half, or Sevilla were gonna hold their own and make it a game. And to start the second half, it was near perfect for Sevilla. Not even a minute went by when they found some space in the Bayern half. I mean, Ocampos delivered one of the nastiest back heel passes I'll ever see. Just like he was the ball was coming to him in the air, and he just like jumped and just back heeled it to Escudero, the fullback that was just running off the left flank, and just they should have gotten a goal there. But of course, it was a really nice ball that Escudero delivered to Luke de Jong, and he got a solid touch on it. I mean, there was 2 defenders in between de Jong, so he couldn't really get a clean look, but he still got a touch, and it was on goal. But then, once again, Manuel Neuer just comes through with a solid save and keeps it tied. I mean, there's nothing else I can say about that. Like Neuer, like in most situations, I mean, he was positioned perfectly. He knew that Luke de Jong wasn't going to have a chance to hit the back post, so he was sticking to that near post, and he just made an easy save. I mean, for him, it looks like an easy save, but so much goes into being where he is and being able to react to that kind of shot. And that's why I'll keep saying, man, Neuer just is one of the best in the world. And that would end up being one of the best opportunities that Sevilla would have in this game. They'd only have one other opportunity in this second half to really put it away. And I'll talk about it later, but yeah, they would go on to regret not, I mean, there's nothing, honestly, in the end, there was nothing else they could really do. Bayern, even though they got beat off the flank, with a beautiful pass from Ocampos. They were still, they still recovered. 2 defenders were literally draped over De Jong. The fact that he was even able to get a shot on goal was impressive. But after that, in the 51st minute, it looked like Lewandowski and Müller had pulled off, one of the most ridiculous team goals I had ever seen. Sané goes and just gives a really nice, kind of like similar to what Müller did in the first half to get the goal for Goretzka. Found Lewandowski perfectly inside the box, who then headed it to Müller, who then gave it back to Lewandowski for an easy goal. And when I first saw that, I was just like, wait, what? What? How are these? They're playing against professionals. Sevilla won the Europa League last season. What the heck? What the heck are they doing? They're making them look like fools. Just back and forth, and then, no, you take a goal. No, you take a goal. And then, boom, Lewandowski just hits it home. Of course, that wouldn't end up being the goal to give him the lead because he was considered offsides by an inch. VAR ended up ruling it offside. It was technically offside, but my God, it's so close. But whatever, that's why VAR's there. But either way, Sevilla would make some big-time substitutions after that in the 56th minute. I talked about this earlier. Ivan Rakitic came off, and same thing with Luke de Jong. And then you had Youssef and Nasiri and Oliver Torres coming in. It wouldn't make much of a difference as shortly after that substitution, Serge Gnabry had some space on that left flank, and you do not give Gnabry space because he will make you pay. Luckily, the Sevilla goalkeeper, Bono, was there to, make the save, and the rebound was almost shot in by Sané, but then, Sevilla was there to back up their goalkeeper and block the shot. Later, Sané was subbed off in the 70th minute for Tolisso to add some more strength in that midfield, but overall, Sané still had a really solid game. Even when he doesn't score, doesn't have an assist, he just makes his presence felt. And that's why I'm just so absolutely shocked that he goes to this, he went to this club just to make him so much stronger. But either way, after that substitution, Bayern were just continuously finding solid opportunities. They just couldn't get it past that stingy Sevilla defense. Sevilla were really holding their own, even though they were getting shot at a bunch of times. Sevilla were really making it hard for Bayern Munich to get some clean looks. And it actually almost resulted in a counter-attack goal for Sevilla. This would be their golden opportunity to put Bayern away. To be the first team to defeat Bayern Munich in the last 30-something matches. So let me just tell you how this goes. So Alaba just absolutely... Because usually the way that Bayern play, and we've known this for some time, they like to press up. They like to push that back line up. That back line of Sul and Alaba, they like to push them up, especially on those corner kicks, to take on any bad clearances and try to shoot them at goal. And on this particular situation, there was a kind of poor clearance that got right into the pathway of Alaba, but when he went to go shoot it, he completely whiffed it, and it gave Jesus Navas a perfect opportunity to take the ball and move it up the field. And it was literally both Sul and Alaba were focused on Navas to make sure he didn't keep on going. And there you see Nasiri finding some space on the left flank, wide open. Navas finds him perfectly. But then, once again, Neuer comes through and makes a perfect save. Because, the shot was still nice. Some might have said, he could have, faked it, kind of got around them, because there was literally no one on him. It was just him and Neuer. So, maybe he could have, faked Neuer and gone around him, but... do you really think that's going to work against Neuer? I don't think it would. But, Neuer did seem like he was a little committed to going for that save. And he made it. In the end, he made it, saved his club that tie, kept them tied, and just continues to do what he does. It's ridiculous. And it would go into extra time tied at 1. And this is where things would get interesting. that was about as interesting as it would get for Sevilla. Because, I mean, they had some chances in the extra time, but for the most part, it was just all Bayern Munich. And the one shot that I saw from Sevilla in the extra time that was a solid shot. It was on target by Nasiri. It would have eventually been called offside anyways. The thing is, the fact that Neuer still saved that shot, like he was wide open. It was just him and Neuer once again after he faked out Alaba on a pretty solid dribble. Again, remember, this would have all been offside because he was clearly offside. But of course, they still let the play run. They don't blow the whistle, and Neuer blocks it with his toe. Like he thought he was going to go back post, but he goes near post, and Neuer just leaves just enough of his foot to stop it, and it hits the post, goes off, and that was it. That was literally it for Sevilla. They had those chances to go, but again, as always, like even though Bayern get beat on that back, press of their back line, they have a ridiculous safety net in Neuer to just save them from all those situations. And Bayern, after that, would make their big-time substitutions, bringing in Javi Martinez and Alphonso Davies in the 99th minute for Lucas Hernandez and Leon Goretzka, who both played solid. Like Goretzka, specifically, obviously, he got that goal to keep him tied, and Lucas Hernandez was solid, filling in for Davies while he tries to get fit. And that would make the ultimate difference, as Bayern would take control of this game, living in Sevilla's half and getting plenty of chances at goal. I mean, it just felt like a matter of time before Bayern would break through. And that's exactly what would happen. In the 104th minute, Bayern's corner kick that was cleared by Sevilla, kind of like not too strongly, was found by Alaba. And like I said, they always like to press up with those defenders. He gets a shot on goal, which makes Bono have to make a solid save. Not really a solid save, but it was too hard for him to hold on to it. And it goes up in the air, right into the pathway of Javi Martinez, who just heads it perfectly over Bono into the back of the net. And just like that, they're up 2-1 in extra time. And I mean, this was so perfect for Martinez. I mean, there's a lot of rumors going out. This is probably like his last game in Bayern Munich. And you love to see a guy that has put so much into his club and has done so many things for them to have a nice sending off that way. Like you can see the way he was, he wasn't really celebrating. He was kind of just like, is this really happening? Did I really just do this in my probably final game for this historic club? Yes, Martinez. Yes, you did. And that would be all she wrote. I mean, they would end up going on to win this game 2-1. Sevilla would get a couple opportunities late, and Ocampos, who was probably their best player on the night, would get them some opportunities, but in the end it would end 2-1 in extra time. And for the man of the match in this game, there's no one else I can give it to but Neuer. I mean, for him to come through time and time again with game-saving blocks, or game-saving saves, I should say, just with his toe, with, just the tip of his hand, just his positioning, his reflexes, it's all top-notch and makes me feel good about putting him in my top 5 goalkeepers in the world. I mean, this guy's just unbelievable, and honestly, I just have so much respect for Bayern Munich. That's what I want PSG to be at. I understand it takes a lot of time. Bayern Munich have been doing this for years. They're in a very strong league. Not the strongest. I mean, a lot of people still believe La Liga, Serie A, and the Bundes and the Premier League are all stronger than the Bundesliga. At least a few. There's a lot of people saying that, but just they still just time and time again they're just so strong. And I just want PSG to eventually get to that. And I know it takes some time, but man, overall, enough talking about PSG. Overall, this was a great game. If you haven't watched it, go check out the highlights. This was a very fun game to watch, and hats off to Sevilla as well. They kept on fighting, even though Bayern clearly outclassed them in terms of quality and just how much individual quality they have on their team, but just team quality as well. I mean, because no team plays better than Bayern, and that's what would ultimately give them the victory in the Super Cup. So that's gonna wrap it up for this segment. Make sure you guys stick around, because when I come back, I'm gonna be giving you guys, the recap of the Carabao Round 3. Make sure you guys come back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back, everyone. If you missed the last segment, we talked about the 2020 Super Cup between Bayern Munich and Sevilla, with Bayern Munich coming out on top 2-1. And now we're going to be talking about the Carabao Cup Round 3. Just going to be recapping all the games that went down and, just giving my man of the match for each game. Let's start this off with Brentford versus West Brom, which ended in a 2-2 draw in regulation, and then Brentford came out on top with a 5-4 penalty finish. This would end up being Brentford's, best. They're now being in the round 4. This is their best finish this is tied for their best finish in the competition, and they look solid. I mean, they gave up some terrible penalties. Rob's just a really dumb tackle to get that first goal for Robson Kanu, who put in 2 penalty kicks, but just to make it level 1-1 just 2 minutes later in the 58th minute, Marcondes with a just ridiculous bicycle kick to give them the a tie, and then West Brom had a bad challenge of their own late in that game and gave Fours a chance to tie it up, and he did with a penalty of their own. In the end, both teams had chances towards the end, especially West Brom, but they just couldn't get past the goalkeeper. I have to give man of the match to midfielder Shandon Baptiste. He was 3 for 3 on tackles, 6 for 11 on duels. He had 3 interceptions, 4 recoveries, and had 82%, completed 82% of his 45 passes. I mean, just a huge game for Brentford, and good job to them. I mean, moving on to round 4, it'll be interesting to see. I didn't put the matchups, but whoever they go up against, I mean, they're going to have confidence. They look good, but they just need to clear it up on defense. Next, we have Newport County versus Watford, with Newport coming out on top 3-1. I mean, this game just looked awful for Watford. I mean, they got that goal to make it 2-1, but they gave up just an unnecessary foul in the 18th minute to give Tristan Abrahams a penalty in that early in that game, and it pretty much set the tone for the rest of the game. I mean, Newport just looked way more organized, and it especially showed in the 28th minute goal by Joss Lapodi, because I mean, one of the Watford's midfielders tried to head it away, but he completely whiffed on it. It landed right on Lapodi's thigh, and he just one-timed it into the back of the net. Overall, I mean, Newport County just looks so much better. I was not expecting this from Newport County. But their defense was very impressive. They only allowed Watford to take 3 shots, one of them on target, which was the penalty goal that they got in the 54th minute. I mean, overall, this was just such a bad game from Watford. I mean, I don't know what's happened to them. I mean, I'm not always keeping track of every single team in the Premier League, and obviously, I mean, I don't really pay attention to Watford too much, but I mean, I remember them in the Premier League, and they were solid. I mean, they had, when they had Deeney, and they were making things happen, and they were, just out hustling teams. That is just not the case here. They look like an absolute mess, and that shows in this 3-1 loss to Newport. Man of the match has to go to Josh Lapodi. He got that really nice goal, but also contributed on the defensive end. 4 interceptions, 8 recoveries, 2 of 2 tackles, 2 of 3 aerials, and completed 83% of his 23 passes. So big game for Lapodi, and Newport County on to the next round. Next, we have West Ham annihilating Hull City 5-1. And this just makes me feel terrible because I have big time hopes for Leeds United this season, and for them to lose to Hull City in round 2, it was 1-1. They go 1-1 draw, and then they lose 9-8 on penalties. I mean, that's just terrible. I mean, I feel like this would have been such a nice game against West Ham between Leeds United. Instead, Hull City just looked like an absolute mess. Yarmolenko is making them look like an absolute... he's looking like probably one of the best players in the world in this game. He gets 2 goals, 2 assists. Sebastian Haller was looking great for them as well. And I mean, this was kind of like... They were up 3-0 by the 56th minute. Hull City got a solid goal from Malik Wilks off the bench. He had a really solid first touch on that nice cross, and that was able to set him up for the goal. But then, man, West Ham did not have to do him like this. I mean, they got 2 goals in extra time at the end of the game to make it 5-1. I mean, was that really necessary? I don't think so, but whatever. To each their own. And man of the match goes obviously to Andrei Kirilenko. Oh my God. If you guys don't know who that is, he's a basketball player. But it's Andrei Yarmolenko, who got 2 goals and 2 assists, 3 successful dribbles, 2 interceptions. Was just an absolute beast in this game. And he looked like he was just picking apart Hull City. Next, we have Manchester United versus Luton Town. Manchester United come away with the victory, 3-0. And honestly, for most of this game, I mean, it's Manchester United. You need to expect more from them. Even though it was a 3-0 victory, they didn't get 2 of those 3 goals until late in this game when they had to enter Greenwood, Rashford, and Bruno Fernandes. They would obviously put this game away. With the amount of quality that they have, it's no problem. But the thing is, you see, we're going to be talking about it later on, but you see big-time teams putting in almost half of their B team and still coming away with victories. Manchester United just need, they just don't have a good... I just don't like their system. I don't like their system. And Luton Town were obviously completely out-qualityed in this game. I don't know, outclassed. They had way more quality for Manchester United. And that's why they would come out on top in this game. I don't know if this is not going to work for Manchester United moving forward, so they need to figure it out. I do have to give shout out to Dean Henderson. What am I talking about? Dean Henderson, who made his debut for the club and didn't have to do much, which was expected, but he did make a solid save and impressed overall. Man of the match goes to Mason Greenwood, who played 12 minutes and had a goal and an assist. Just doing what he does best, just making things happen for Man U. Next, we had Stoke City versus Gillingham, with Stoke City going on top 1-0. They got a goal from Tyrese Campbell in the 37th minute, from a perfect through ball from Jordan Thompson. I mean, this guy was literally at half field, at the half field mark, and just found a perfect ball to Campbell. It really couldn't have been delivered any better than what it was, and Stoke City were just overwhelmingly better than Gillingham, but they just should have showed more goals for it. They should have actually had 3 goals in this game, but that just wasn't the case. Man of the match goes to Jordan Thompson. As I said, his 1 assist was just ridiculous, but he also completed 91% of his 117 passes. Just an absolute masterclass in the midfield for Jordan Thompson. Next, we have Burnley taking on Millwall, and they come out on top. Well, Burnley comes out on top 2-0. Josh Brownhill gives us one of the goals of the tournament so far with a ridiculous shot from 35 yards out. And then they also add an extra goal in extra time at the end of the game from Matej Vidra. Millwall were solid to start this game with multiple chances at goal, but Burnley were just had that individual quality to get them over the top. And in the end of it, it was just like the pressing from Millwall, that needed a goal to try to tie it, opened it up for them to get that second one. Man of the match, I got to give it to Brownhill, Josh Brownhill. He got that goal, but aside from that, he also got an interception and completed 92% of his 49 passes. Was just definitely the standout player for Burnley. Next, we have, if you guys should know, the team that I've been hyping up this season, Brighton of Albion versus Preston. And Brighton comes out on top, 2-0. They get a goal. Man, these names come. Alexis McAllister is not a tough name. That one I got, and he got a goal in the 75th minute. However, the one that opened up the scoring for Brighton, Alireza Jahanbakhsh. Maybe I got that right. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if you guys get this far in the podcast. But Preston had only a few opportunities and couldn't capitalize on them, while Brighton were just better with their final ball. I mean, that was just the case in this game. And they didn't use all of their players. I mean, they did have Veltman in, but the best player in this game was easily Bernardo. I mean, his 1 assist, 1 successful dribble, he completed 75% of his 35 passes, and was a force on defense as well. He was extremely, extremely active for Brighton. So Brighton goes on to the next round. Next, we have Chelsea versus Barnsley, and this was obviously going to be a wreck. I mean, unless Chelsea were going to just completely bottle this, which they didn't. They would go on to win 6-0, and this was the Kai Havertz show. He would go on to get a hat trick and just show all of the skills that you were hoping to see from him if you're a Chelsea fan. Especially that 65th minute goal where it looked like the goalkeeper had made a mistake, which, I mean, I guess coming out on Havertz, kind of wasn't the right decision, but I mean, dude, the kid just nutmegged him so nasty. If you watch the game, you probably didn't see it at first. You probably thought, oh, this guy just overshot it, and the goalkeeper just completely whiffed it. But Havertz gives such a slight touch on the ball to put it right between his legs. I was like, oh my god, like what? I didn't know you had that. I mean, I know he's good. I know he's a wonder kid and all that. But my goodness, I mean, that was really nice. The other 2 goals he had were set up to him really nicely by Abraham. Pretty much set both of them up, even though Mount got the assist on the first one. Abraham let it go right between his legs and kind of like faked that he was going to get it. I love those plays. I don't know what I think you call them feints, because if you guys know, I'm just, I'm still learning the soccer game, so I don't know the vocabulary of everything, but I'm pretty sure that's called a feint, and it was just such a beautiful one from Abraham. I would have given him the man of the match because he did really a lot of things. He scored early in the game, but got 2 assists, but I have to give it to Kai Havertz. I mean, had 4 successful dribbles, 88%, completed 88% of his 42 passes, and won 9 of his 15 duels. So, I mean, Kai Havertz just bringing everything that everyone was expecting from him in this game. We just want to see it against better competition. Barnsley, I think they're a championship side. Maybe they're a League One side. I do not know 100%, but I mean, we got to see it from Premier League games before we start giving them too much praise. Next, we have Aston Villa coming out on top against Bristol City 3-0. Anwar El Ghazi got a 11th minute goal that was beautifully set up by Keenan Davis. It was all him in that game, at least in that segment, in that sequence, just to be able to just make so many players miss and just find Ghazi perfectly inside the box. Literally 3 minutes later, Bertrand Traore gave such a calm finish. I mean, making it look like he does that every single day. That he was like on the right side of the goal, kind of like a few yards away from goal, but then just sailed it right over the goalkeeper to the left side, hit the left side of the net, and that was easily one of the nicest goals I've seen in a long time. I mean, it was nothing crazy, but just like how calm he took it. That's what really made the difference there. And of course, Ollie Watkins, solid executions on the counter as Bristol City were trying to get a goal back to make this a game, and it opened things up, and it gave Aston Villa a 3-0 victory. Gotta say, they did this without their star man. How am I forgetting his name? You know what I'm talking about. Oh my God, come on, Steve. Whatever. I always just freaking flop on these names. Like, I just forget. It's gonna come to me. I'm gonna say it like in the middle of this podcast because that's just how I am. Like, I remembered his name. Grealish. Jack Grealish. There you go. I just remembered. I knew I just have to talk a little bit and I'd remember. But yeah, they did this without Jack Grealish, and Bertrand Traore gets the man of the match with the goal, 87% completion of his 30 passes. He also contributed on the defensive end and was just overall the best player on the field in this game. Next, we have Fulham versus Sheffield Wednesday. They defeated Sheffield Wednesday 2-0. Aboubakar Kamara got a 9th minute goal off a very solid counterattack. It kind of felt like the way Sheffield Wednesday were playing out of the back, it kind of felt like a matter of time before Fulham's pressure were going to get to them, and it did. And obviously, it ended up in a really solid goal that was set up by Knockaert. Anthony Knockaert getting the goal, getting the pass to Kamara for that goal. And just overall, the defense for Sheffield Wednesday just couldn't handle Fulham. And that was ultimately the difference in this game. I will give Anthony Knockaert the man of the match in this game. He got that assist, completed 81% of his 32 passes, had 3 successful dribbles, 6 recoveries. So he was all over the place in this game and certainly deserves that man of the match award. Next, we got Liverpool versus Lincoln City, and I should say more Liverpool B, as they pretty much put out their entire B team in this game, as, they just have so much quality. So you saw guys like Xherdan Shaqiri, Curtis Jones, Takumi Minamino, Marko Grujic, Divock Origi, all contributed in this game. All those guys got goals and were just outclassing Lincoln City. Lincoln City did get 2 goals late in the game. However, it was already 5-0 by the time they got their first goal, and it was a wrap for Liverpool. I give the man of the match to Curtis Jones, who contributed with 2 goals, but also had completed 92% of his 66 passes, had 4 successful dribbles, 10 of 13 duels won. I mean, that's ridiculous, and had 2 interceptions. So he also gave you a bit on defense. Next, we got Manchester City squeaking out a scary one here over Bournemouth, 2-1. Kind of like Liverpool, Manchester City didn't have all of their first-team players out there. You had guys like Liam Delap, you had Zach Steffen in goal in between the sticks, and it almost cost them a chance to move on to the next round. They did get a goal from Liam Delap in the 18th minute with a beautiful assist from Phil Foden. I mean, the vision that kid has is just ridiculous. But it was also a very solid finish. Hit like the top right corner, and goalkeeper had no chance at that one. Bournemouth would answer pretty quickly, just 4 minutes later, with a solid team play and link-up play between a bunch of players there. And Sam Surridge would slot it into the bottom left corner, past Steffen. I mean, Steffen didn't really have a chance there. I will give it to Zach Steffen, who, obviously he's an American goalkeeper, so I got to shout him out. He had a really solid slide tackle with it looked like Bournemouth were going to have a breakaway at goal when it was tied 1-1, and he shut that down real quick. But then in the end, Phil Foden would go on to score the game winner off a rebound that was shot by, what was his name? You see, guys? I just get in my head and I forget these names, but Riyad Mahrez. There you go. Riyad Mahrez would go on score, hit the post. Foden would just slot it back into the past the goalkeeper and get that goal and get the win overall. Foden, I will give the man of the match to Phil Foden. He had that goal and the assist, and just overall was the best player on the field for Man City, and it's going to be huge for them this season. Next, we have Newcastle with their best victory ever, beating Morecambe 7-0. This was just ridiculous. I mean, and just to add insult, I mean, they were up 6-0 by the 51st minute, and just to add insult to injury, they would get a 7th goal in extra time off an own goal from Sam Lavelle. I mean, Morecambe just had no chance in this game, and I give the man of the match to Jacob Murphy, who had a goal, an assist, 86% of his 42 passes were completed, and 4 of 6 duels. So he was all over the place. Huge game for Jacob Murphy, and huge game for Newcastle. Should have a lot of confidence going on to the next round. And next we have Everton versus Fleetwood. Everton would go out to win this game 5-2. Richarlison would get 2 goals in quick succession in the 22nd minute and 34th minute with some very solid passes between the club. I mean, Bernard gave a really nice cross for Richarlison to head it home. And just ridiculous link-up play between Richarlison and Iwobi to give him that second goal. Fleetwood would answer, making it a 2-1 game and then eventually a 3-2 game. But then Everton would pull away towards the end and even get a nice 5th goal in the extra time by Moise Kean. I give the man of the match to Bernard for his goal and assist in this game, and 91% of his 87 passes were completed. Just ridiculous. And last, we have Arsenal versus Leicester City. Arsenal came out on top 2-0, and this was kind of a dud of a game. I mean, Christian Fuchs got an own goal in the 57th minute to open up the scoring. It was kind of really hard for him not to avoid getting this own goal as it was deflected off of him from a cross, and he didn't really have a chance. It was super close to him. And then Eddie Nketiah in the 90th minute got a great goal as he was falling down. I mean, the effort that he put into getting that goal was really, really solid. And Leicester, having been dealing with injuries, have been able to handle it in the Premier League, but just in this game against Arsenal, they just couldn't. I give the man of the match to Mohamed El Nini. He completed 92% of his 72 passes, had a successful dribble, 3 interceptions, 3 recoveries, 2 of 3 aerials, 4 of 7 duels, which is all over the place for Arsenal, and was the best player on the pitch. And then the last game that didn't actually happen, Tottenham versus Leyton Orient, was postponed due to a positive COVID test among the Leyton Orient squad. So we're going to have to wait for that one. And that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Make sure you guys stick around as I give you guys my top 10 managers in the world coming up next.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back, everyone. If you missed the last segment, I talked about the Carabao Cup and all the round 3 matchups. Now I'm going to be giving you guys my top 10 managers in the world. And you're going to see some fresh faces on here. You're going to see some old dogs that have been doing this for some time and are legends in the game. But it's going to be an interesting list. I'm excited to talk about this one. So starting off my list, I have Antonio Conte. There was a couple guys I was considering here. Fernando Santos was one of them, the manager for Portugal. But I don't know. It's kind of tough to put in an international manager. I do have one in here, so I'm not saying I don't have anybody from the international scene here. But just he has done a lot for Portugal. Fernando Santos has. But Antonio Conte has so much experience and has done a lot of winning pretty much everywhere he goes that I kind of had to include him on this list. And obviously now he's currently with Inter Milan, but he has done a lot of managing for a lot of teams. I mean, he started in 06-07 for Arezzo, moved on to Bari, then managed Atalanta for a year, Siena. Then he moved on to Juve, where he started to really make a name for himself, where he won 3 Serie A titles from 2011 to 2014. Then he managed Italy from 2014 to 2016, and didn't really do much for them. It didn't really work out, so he went back to managing clubs. Went to Chelsea in the Premier League, won them the title his first season there. Did win the FA Cup in 2017-2018, so he did some winning in the Premier League as well. But then he did take a year off from managing, and then is now with Inter Milan, where he was the runner-up in the Europa League to Sevilla, and was just 1 point away from taking the title from Juve in that match. In Serie A. I gotta give it to him for really. I kind of had mixed feelings about him because I feel like his managing style isn't too good, but he wins wherever he goes. In his individual achievements, he's won the Pancina d'Argento, which is the best Serie B manager in 2008-2009. The Pancina d'Oro, which is the best Serie A manager in 3 times. Was the Premier League manager of the season that first year he was there, and even won Globe Soccer Award for the best coach of the year in 2013 when he was with Juve. So a lot of awards for Antonio Conte, and his resume just speaks for itself. He is definitely a top 10 manager in the world right now, and it'll be interesting to see what he does for Inter Milan in this upcoming season with really high expectations. Next, at number 9, you guys might call this a little favoritism because of me being a PSG fan, but Thomas Tuchel comes in at number 9 because of just what he's been able to do in the PSG project. I know he's had some bad years, but to be able to take PSG to where they have never been before, where a lot of managers have come and failed, is big in my opinion. I've said this once. I've said this once. I've said this plenty of times. I feel like the PSG manager job is the hardest job in the entire world to have. The expectations there are win the Champions League or get fired. It's pretty much been that for so many years. I remember when Unai Emery was there. PSG was too much for him, but he did a lot of winning, and it just wasn't enough, and he had to go. But Thomas Tuchel comes in. He's a young coach. I've said that he probably does need to go on, move on, look somewhere else, but he's done a lot of good things in other places. Like he started off with the Augsburg youth team in 2007. Then he moved on to Mainz as he got that head coaching job, the head managing job in 2009, and he was there for 5 years, and that's where he really made a name for himself. Mainz are not known as a big-time club, but they were exciting when he was managing them. And that means, that's big time. That's big time. He has a 56.2 win percentage over his 431 matches. And he won the DFB Pokal for Borussia Dortmund when he joined them in he joined them from 2015 to 2017. And that last year he won the Pokal. But that just wasn't enough. They ended up firing him. There were some disagreements with management, and then he took a year off, but then he got the job at PSG and has been there since. He's won 2 league titles, a Coupe de France, a Coupe de la Liga, a Trophy des Champs, and of course the runner-up in the Champions League. And I feel like this season, I mean, they started off rough, but I mean, with Mbappe there, they're looking a little better. And I feel like Thomas Tuchel's, might not be in this list coming up next season, but this year, after what he did for them in the Champions League, certainly deserves to be in the conversation. Next, we have Carlo Ancelotti at number 8. He's currently managing Everton, and he has the most experience of anybody on this list. He has managed 1,129 matches and has a 58.2 win percentage of those matches, which is just ridiculous. For you to win that many out of those many games, that's incredible. And wherever he's gone, he's won. The resume speaks for itself. He had a couple stints in some lower division, in some lower sides like Reggiana in 95, Parma 96 and 98. He did manage Juve before they were, real big time, and kind of when they were going through that tough era in 99-01. But then he joined AC Milan, and that's where his career just took off. He was there for 8 seasons. He won the league, the Serie A title in 2003-2004, won the Coppa Italia in 02-03, the Supercoppa Italiana in 2004, and then 2 Champions Leagues in 2002-2003 and 2006-2007. I don't know if I should just say 03 and 07. I mean, I don't know. I just say the full year because that's the season's year. But yeah, he won 2 Champions Leagues with Milan, and then he moved on to Chelsea for 2 years. Won the Premier League title his first season there. Same thing with the FA Cup. He actually won the treble with the FA Cup and FA Community Shield. But his time there wouldn't last too long. He was there for only 2 seasons. Then he would move on to PSG, where he would win the league title in 2012-2013. Then he'd move on to Real Madrid for 2 seasons, where he won the Copa del Rey and the Champions League in 2013-2014. And then he moved on to Bayern Munich, where he would win the Bundesliga title in 2016-2017 and the DFL Super Cup, which I kind of it's not really that big a deal because it's whoever wins the Pokal and the Bundesliga go up against each other. I mean, I guess that's kind of big, but it's whatever. But he won 2 of those, so big time for him. He did win the Serie A Coach of the Year in 01-04, the Ligue 1 Manager of the Year. He was actually a tie with Christophe Galtier in 2013. 4-time Premier League Manager of the Month. He's in the AC Milan Hall of Fame. Was the Manager of the Year by the World Soccer Magazine in 2003. Globe Soccer Awards Best Coach of the Year in 2014. I mean, the resume speaks for himself. This guy is a legend in the game, and right now he's with Everton, and they should be very happy to have such a big-time manager like Ancelotti. Next, we got Didier Deschamps of France, and this is my only international manager. He has done some things in other clubs. He managed Monaco in 01-05, won the Coupe de la Liga, and was runner-up in the Champions League in 03-04. He did win the Serie B title for Juve when he was with them in 06-07 when they were kind of like, trying to get back in Serie A. He joined Marseille for 3 years and won the Ligue 1 title. But then since 2012, he has been the manager of France, and he did win the FIFA World Cup in 2018. Was European Championship runner-up in 2016, but that World Cup in 2018, that gives him this, 7th place finish, and I can't really argue with that. I mean, I know they have a lot of quality in France, but Deschamps has managed them well and did what they needed to do. But they're also a very young side. You got to remember that. So in order to manage all those egos and all that talent, it takes a really good manager, and that is what the Didier Deschamps is. Next, we have Diego Simeone at number 6. Obviously, currently managing Atletico Madrid, has been for the last 9 to 10 seasons, and he's been a staple there. Has won 55.8% of his 686 matches. He started off his career in Argentina and made a name for himself there with Estudiantes La Plata and River Plate. And then he moved on to Atletico Madrid. I mean, he had a couple in between, but really short stints. But he's obviously made that worldwide name for himself at Atletico, where he has won a La Liga title, the Copa del Rey, Supercopa de España, was a runner-up in the Champions League twice, and one of them being to Real Madrid, or I think both of them were to Real Madrid, which really hurts. But then he's also won the Europa League in 2011-12 and 2017-18. He has some solid individual achievements, being European Coach of the Season in 2011-2012, La Liga Coach of the Year 3 times, and he won the Miguel Muñoz Trophy, which is also kind of like the best Spanish coach in 2013-14 and 2015-16. So that's why he's at number 6. The thing is, he would have been higher. It just looks like there's starting to be some chinks in his armor lately and his, managing style. And he needs to kind of like evolution, he kind of like got to transform with the times, which he hasn't yet. This man coming up next, however, completely has Piero Gasperini of Atalanta. I mean, this man has been Atalanta's manager since 2016 and has been a huge player for them, huge manager for them. Won the Serie A Coach of the Year in 2019, the Gazzetta Sports Award Coach of the Year in 2017, and the Pancina d'Oro in 2019, which of course is the best Italian football coach. He has been taking Atalanta to back-to-back top 3 finishes in Serie A. And Atalanta has not finished worse than 7th since Gasperini has joined the club. Just a huge, he has the best attacking team in the world right now and has shown huge tactical ability, just throughout his years there. And, he's had some stints at other clubs, but he has really made a name for himself at Atalanta. Hopefully he can continue to, help them improve. They look like they're going to still be good again this season. No reason to think otherwise. And Gasperini, that puts him there at number 5. At number 4, super fresh face here, but man, what this guy's been able to do is ridiculous. Hansi Flick of Bayern Munich. He's had some, managing experience in other places like Victoria Baumantal in 96 to 2000, Hoffenheim from 2000 to 2005. But then he took a big break. He was the assistant manager of Germany for a few years behind Joachim Löw. And he won, he helped them win the World Cup in 2014, 3rd place in 2010. But then, what he's been able to do at Bayern Munich is just incredible. Maybe putting him at number 4 is a bit high. Maybe I can put, Gasperini and Diego Simeone ahead of him. Maybe even Deschamps. But, dude, this guy is, his tactical, just awareness to be able to, take out key players. Like, what he did to Messi in the semifinal, in the quarterfinal of the Champions League this season was just outstanding. Just completely took him out of the game. And those were his tactics. Obviously, he has a great team in Bayern Munich, but they did not look good when you had Niko Kovac managing them earlier in the season, and he just turned them around. They're literally on a 35 unbeaten game streak. It's just ridiculous. He absolutely deserves to be this high. Was the German football manager of the year this year, which obviously who else? And he deserves it, man. So now we're in the top 3. This is a different stratosphere of managers. Hansi Flick is not here yet, not even by a mile. Number 3, we have Zinedine Zidane of Real Madrid. Zidane has only managed Real Madrid. It was either their B team when he first started and then Real Madrid after that. And he has been an absolute beast for them. Has won 2 La Liga titles, 3 back-to-back Champions League titles, 2 Super Cups, 2 FIFA Club World Cups, and the resume speaks for itself. He hasn't managed very long, but when he has, he has absolutely dominated. Has won 62% of his 269 matches, and I mean, he took a little break and came back, and obviously, it's not easy to just continue to win Champions Leagues like that, but he was considered the best FIFA football coach in 2017, the best FIFA football coach runner-up in 2016 and 2018, and was the France Football French Manager of the Year in 2016 and 2017. Huge accomplishments for him, and he absolutely deserves to be number 3. There's nobody else that comes close to him, obviously, of course, other than the top 2 managers. But yeah, he definitely deserves to be number 3 until someone else proves otherwise. At number 2, we have Pep Guardiola of Manchester City. And I mean, this man has gone to big club after big club and has just won. I mean, it just does not matter where he goes. He continues to bring excellence and success to his clubs. He started off with the Barcelona B team in 07-08, but then was instantly promoted to being the manager of Barcelona for 4 years. And even Lionel Messi has said it, those were his favorite years with the club. They won 3 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Reys, 2 Champions Leagues. I mean, it's ridiculous what he was able to do there at Barcelona. I don't know why he didn't leave. I mean, I wasn't 100% into football in 2012 or during that era when Pep Guardiola was the manager of Barcelona. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he left, but he went on to go and manage Bayern Munich after that, and he would win what? He'd play there. He'd be there for 3 seasons. They'd win 3 titles, 2 DFB Pokals, just absolutely dominating the field. And then he would go on to Manchester City after that in 2016 till to now. He's won 2 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, 3 EFL Cups, and 2 FA Community Shields. Obviously, what's missing there is the Champions League. After he was able to do that twice with Barcelona, he has not been able to do it since. But, I mean, this guy has a 72.6 win percentage in 684 games. That's ridiculous. I don't think nobody else matches those numbers. Pep Guardiola is a mastermind of the game, and any player, just having that guy gives you an up in like anyone wanting to join you. I mean, even Lionel Messi was telling people that he wanted to play for Pep Guardiola again. I mean, if that doesn't mean that this guy has major respect in the world, I don't know what does. And that's why he comes in at number 2. And of course, at number 1, we got Jurgen Klopp of Liverpool. This man has made a name for himself here. I mean, he was huge. He was big time in Borussia Dortmund from 2008 to 2015. He's won 52.5% of his 854 matches. But man, what he's done at Liverpool, they were looking so bad before he joined. Like, I mean, that first season or first 2, it was really just that first season, it was a little growing pains, which is expected. But since then, I mean, they've won a league title, first one in 30 years. They've won the Champions League. I don't remember the last time they won the Champions League. I mean, I'm not gonna even guess. But then they were also runner-ups in 2018. They won the Super Cup in 2019. They were Europa League runners-up in 2015, 2016. This man is a beast. He's, he seems like someone that's really cool to talk to. Is obviously a great tactician. Obviously has amazing talent, but Liverpool did not have this kind of talent before he arrived. His decisions, his transfer excellence makes him one of the best manager in the world. Any team would want him. Liverpool obviously do, and Liverpool are going to continue to be one of the best teams in the world. He has won the German Football Manager of the Year for 3 years. 2011, 2012, 2019 was the Premier League Manager of the season. Last year, should have had probably more than that, but won it last year for his incredible performance, credible, tactics for Liverpool to win them the league title. And I mean, that's what you got there, man. You got that's Jurgen Klopp for you. So that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. I am excited, guys. I already told you in the beginning of this episode, I am heading to Disney tomorrow. I am super hyped. Hope you guys are cheering me on. I'm going to ride every ride I possibly can, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So as always, thank you for listening to the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review. That really helps us. Also, if you can please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I would really appreciate it. Thank you and have a great night.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.